Welcome to the playoffs, and welcome to the Thunderdome in Chicago, Illinois. Today, the St. Louis Gladiators, winners of 2 straight, make their playoff debut against the host, Chicago Wildcats. Also, dominant victors in 2 battles in a row. Our all-star crew includes Stephen Hacker on stats. Charles Doherty is the analyst, and I am play-by-play commentator, Cameron Irvine. Charles, the day is finally here. How are you? And what are your points of emphasis today?
This is awesome. I've been waiting for this. I've been up all night thinking about this game. Let the madness start. We've got a rematch of an overtime thriller in Week 7. Chicago wants to avenge that loss, knock St. Louis out of the playoffs. Both of these teams are hot. They're on 2-game winning streaks, but Chicago is molten lava hot. Their production on offense in the last 3 games and defense has been nearly double in efficiency. It's crazy. The bad news for Johnny Pickler, I mean, he's got some magic coming into this game, but Chicago at home is an absolute monster. St. Louis is going to have to start off strong early and be steady and consistent. Chicago has only allowed 6 points in the first quarter at home this season. St. Louis has got to keep the Chicago dangerous receivers in front of them, and Chicago has got to stop Diesel Dawson and make the rookie quarterback beat them.
Kickoff is right around the corner as the playoffs begin. We are all ready here in the booth, and we hope you're ready at home. Sports still lives here on 11 Sports and for the fans, and in the SFL, we're underway. Kick it! On the return, this is Davius Reed out to the 28-yard line. And we first meet E.T. King. He's raised his yards per game in 5 consecutive ball games, has 1,054 passing yards just in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's coming off a crazy game last week. He threw for 452 yards and 5 touchdowns.
First down and 10 at the 28-yard line. 3 receivers for King. Odom's in the backfield, and King will fire it outside. Caught by J.C. Torres. He picks up 7. Let's meet the rest of the Chicago Wildcats offense. King in his 7th season, but Ash Odom is no slouch in the backfield. He's joined by Mike Improta at fullback. Outside, Liam Hammer, number 17. Davius Reed, number 18. J.C. Torres, number 89. Sham Varner, the savvy vet at tight end, number 88. The kicker, they call him automatic. Number 2, Anthony Cece. 2nd down and 3. Off of the first completion of Torres. Hand off to Odom. He is stiffed for minimal gain. Shane Masters on the tackle. And the rest of that St. Louis Gladiators defense is led by strong safety Colin Douglas in his 8th season. A talented defensive front includes Todd Dubstat, Tony Roberto, Shane Masters, and Franco Sonati. Linebackers Mark Gronick and Chuck Diesel. And in the secondary, even Arthur Drurilli, Freeman Peltier, and Nathan Blake. 3rd down and 2. Here comes King, firing it out to Odom. Defense collides, and Colin Douglas makes the tackle 1 yard shy of the first down, and St. Louis gets off the field.
All-star tackle by Colin Douglas. Ash Odom is a tough man to bring down in open field one-on-one. It just shows you why Colin Douglas is one of the best strong safeties in the league.
So Chicago will have to punt it away in the all-orange today with those light gray helmets. St. Louis in their moneymaker uniforms away. Gold helmets, the off-white jerseys and pants with the gold numbers and that forest green trim from the 26-yard line. Not much room for Earl, but he churns ahead to the 28. Johnny Pickler is next. Fewest interceptions in an SFL regular season since Matt Wilson did it in season 10. He also had 11 picks. 2nd in QB rating, and what I found interesting, Charles, is Pickler 16th in pass attempts. They've really protected the rookie as he's grown.
Yeah, they have, but the one thing I think they're going to need to work on, especially in the playoffs, is the number of sacks. He gets hit and gets knocked down a lot. Hand
off to Dawson. He only picks up 2, and we'll meet the rest of this St. Louis Gladiator offense. Diesel Dawson, that running back, number 25. The receivers on the outside, Sean Harrelson, Nick Finch, and Chase Earl. Watch for Harrelson. He had the game of his season against Chicago just a month and a week ago. Tight end number 88, Cody Scott. Don't get him confused, as we have 2 major number 88s on the field today. 2nd down and 8. Pickler's first pass of the playoffs is caught by Harrelson, a pickup of 4. And let's meet the Chicago Wildcats defense, led by Jesse Vick in his 4th season, also the team's general manager. 2 defensive tackles up front make it difficult to run inside. Gerald Giudice and Raymond Jones III. Linebackers Clint Hendershot and Buddy Blaze help the front 7 in the secondary. Mickey McGuire, Maurice Spurgeon, Ron Hoff, and Ryan Yosef help Jesse Vick. And that pass is caught and held short of the first down. Diesel Dawson tackled by Buddy Blaze. And it was eerily similar opening possessions for both offenses, and St. Louis will have to punt.
Yeah, both of these defenses are loaded for bear today. I think it's gonna take a couple series here before the offenses start getting into gear here.
St. Louis making their playoff debut. This franchise has never been to the postseason after 6 seasons of competition. Chicago has hosted playoff games now each of the last, or 3 of the last 4 seasons, I should say. But their home opener in the playoffs for the Wildcats have been a bugaboo, Charles.
Yeah, but they're on fire, and I think they're in a perfect position here with a home game. And again, their performance at home is just uncanny.
8:07 to go in the first. No score. Both teams have had a possession. Split backs in the backfield, and King will drop to throw. 3 steps, fire it outside. Caught by Reed on the near side. Pickup of 6, and he scoots out of bounds. The last time these two teams met, March 1st, and the game went to overtime. Charles, you and I had the call. Harrelson had season highs in receptions, yards, and touchdowns in the ball game, and Odom averaged nearly 8 yards a carry, but Charles, he only had 18 carries. I would expect to see maybe a little bit more of Odom today.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the defense on St. Louis is going to give them a little leeway going up into the red zone. That'll mean that Ash Odom will have a lot of opportunity to get some yards per carry.
Odom shuffles ahead for a first down. That's the first move of the chains of the game, and 5 of the 7 games in this Midwestern rivalry have been decided by 1 score, and of course this is the first meeting of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like as a defensive coordinator, I don't know who the heck to focus on in Chicago. I mean, it's like pick your poison. They've got a dangerous running back. Their their wide receivers are dangerous. What do you stop?
Well, right there, you stop Shan Varner, who came out of the check that. Ash Odom, who came out of the flat on just a kind of a little crossing pattern. Gets no gain. Combo tackle there for St. Louis brings up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, I think the 2 dangerous guys on the receiving corps you got to keep an eye on is Liam Hammer and Shan Varner. I mean, they've both, the last couple games, they've just been on fire.
J.G. Carsey saying this is his first football game live. We're happy to have you here. St. Louis brings some pressure. The pass is caught. Nobody's down the field, and Shan Varner's going to score. Touchdown, Chicago.
Yeah, St. Louis rolled the dice a little bit and sent some extra guys in there to try to disrupt E.T. King, but his release is so quick, and it was able to get to the tight end that was behind the defense, and he just took it. That dangerous tight end just took it right to the house.
Man, St. Louis brought some pressure off that left side, and luckily for Varner, he was left in one-on-one coverage. And that could not have been a more beautiful pass from E.T. King. That's now 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in his last 5 quarters.
Yeah, it just shows you how dangerous Chicago is. I mean, you feel like you've got them in a position, and then they just do that deep pass and put 7 on the board.
Extra point for Anthony Cece is on its way, and good. Just getting started here on a wild card doubleheader. You're watching the SFL playoffs on FTF and 11 Sports. 6:39 to go in the first quarter. Chicago leads 7-0 with Stephen Hacker, Charles Doherty. I'm Cameron Irvine. Just getting the playoffs underway. And coming up next, the 10-seed Mexico City Aztecs take on the 7-seed Queen City Corsairs. Kickoff at 3 Eastern. Earl returns it out to the 24-yard line. And back comes St. Louis. So, Charles, first playoff appearance for St. Louis. This team has enjoyed an incredible season. It has been the storyline of the SFL season 14.
Yeah, and a lot of that magic falls on the shoulder of their first-round pick, number 1 pick in the draft, Johnny Pickler. He's got a lot of pressure here. This is a big chapter in his portfolio.
Hand off to Dawson. There's a flag on the play. Not sure what that's all about. And we'll get our first appearance of the day for who we call in the SFL R62 because he doesn't deserve a name. That's a hold, and it's on Cody Scott. No, it's on. Yes, it is on Cody Scott. Pardon. And that's coming back. So a rare hold on the tight end, and so far Varner's winning the battle of the 88s.
Yeah, not a good situation for Johnny Pickler here, getting a deep play here. He's got a long way to go, and that secondary of Chicago is just waiting for him to be tested.
1st and 20 at the 14-yard line. 3 in the backfield, 1 receiver outside. The handoff goes to Dawson, and Dawson is blown up, a loss of 1. They tried to get some of it back due to the penalty, but Buddy Blaze makes a tackle for loss in the backfield.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to run against Chicago. Their linebackers are incredibly fast. When you think you have a hole, it gets closed pretty quickly.
2nd down and 21. Pickler got a long way to go. Fires it outside to Dawson, and he is quickly wrapped up by Mickey McGuire on the far side. Only a gain of 4, so a 3rd and very long, and this is not the situation the Gladiators want to be in here halfway through the first quarter.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot right here, and one thing they don't want to do here on 3rd and 17 is force the pass into that secondary and get the ball back to Chicago in scoring position.
3rd down and 17. Pickler out of the gun. Empty, going long. It's caught over the middle of the field to the Chicago 48-yard line. Sean Harrelson with his 2nd catch. I can't believe that got over the top of the defense.
The offensive line of St. Louis did a great job of keeping that pocket intact for the quarterback, give him time to go through his progressions. Beautiful pass in the middle. That's typically, I would say, a dangerous thing to do against Chicago. But at this time, the wide receiver had a couple steps on the defense and was able to get a great pass off and reception. Over
the head of Yosef, and McGuire on another tackle. 1st and 10 at the Chicago 48-yard line. 4 receivers again. Pickler out of the gun. Fires it short. That is, I believe, Cameron Shaw on the reception for a pickup of 11. Spurgeon on the tackle. And everybody now getting involved. Check that. Chase Earl with the catch.
Yeah, nice play there on the slant. Got the ball out quickly. And again, the offensive line of St. Louis is really giving the quarterback enough time to do his job.
3 in the backfield here. First time we saw them employ this today. It went for a 1-yard loss earlier in the drive. 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. St. Louis down 7-0. The handoff goes to Dawson. Dawson up the middle, breaks a tackle, and picks up 4. McGuire again on the stop, coming all the way over from the other side of the field. 2nd and 6.
Well, I mean, not a huge gain there, but I think positive yards is a good thing, obviously. Got to keep the ball moving, and you don't want to be one-dimensional if you're St. Louis.
Sean Harrelson with those 2 catches today, had those season highs earlier this season. Actually is very familiar with Shan Varner and a lot of this Chicago bunch, as Harrelson also hails from Alabama and playing for the enemy today. McGuire on another tackle.
I think the best bet from a running standpoint for St. Louis is up the middle. If they're going to try and get on the edge, those linebackers, as I said before, are just so quick. And I don't know if Diesel's got enough speed to take it on the outside.
3rd down and 5 at the 32 of Chicago. Pickler cannot take a sack here. Nickel look out of the defense. Pickler's got a great pocket. That pass, it's tipped up and incomplete. Spurgeon knocks it down. That one was intended for Shaw. over the middle. And are they actually going to punt this football? I would kick the field goal here.
Oh, definitely. You got to get points. You got to get points on the board here in this first quarter.
Wow, I am shocked. And Charles, you had a point about Chicago's first quarters on defense. They have been impenetrable, except for St. Louis.
Yep. So 2 field goals were the only scores in the first quarter this season, and they were both done by St. Louis.
Well, right now, Chicago pitching yet another shutout in the first quarter. They lead 7-0. It's early. 2:48 to go in the first quarter. You're watching the Simulation Football League playoffs on 11 Sports and For the Fans. Don't go anywhere. .248 to go in the first quarter. E.T. King gets the ball back. A perfect 6 for 6 for 73 yards. Pickler is 5 for 6 for 47 yards. His first incompletion coming on that last attempt. Ball at the 15-yard line off the punt as St. Louis plays a field position game, trusting their defense, and Odom's going to lose a yard. Wrap up in the backfield made by Chuck Diesel.
Oh, Chuck Diesel, he's a beast. I mean, I remember when Vancouver played against St. Louis, the running back had bruises for weeks after getting hit by Diesel all game.
2:26 to go first quarter. E.T. King comes out in 4 wide, 2 to either side, and King pumps the ball, fires it over the middle. The pass is caught for a first down to the 26, a pickup of 12. And in the slot making the reception, that is Yuya Iba.
Yeah, it was a smart play in the middle, caught the zone. Perfect pass in the middle. Good execution there by the quarterback as well. And the offensive line of Chicago, I've given credit to the St. Louis offensive line. Chicago's doing just as good a job giving time for the quarterback.
For SFL historians, Iba started his career with the Kahlua Wyverns way back in season 1, was out of the league for a little bit while, but is now back with Chicago as a non-contract. Wobbly pass is caught by Hammer. Hammer past the 30, the 26-yard line, and he continues to abuse defenses all day long.
Oh my God! Somebody's got to put a man on him all day, and that's their only job. E.T. King got hit, threw a duck out of the pocket there, somehow was able to make an accurate pass.
1:35 to go in the first. And E.T. King is absolute money. 9 for 9 for 132 yards.
That last pass was just phenomenal.
Maybe not the rotation on the football, but where he placed it, just like that one. First down and goal just inside the 10-yard line coming for J.C. Torres.
Yeah, Cam, what's the record for number of completions in a row?
Oh,
E.T. King's
man.
on fire.
That's a good record question. I would venture to say it's in the double figures. I feel like Julian Tyree had it. I want to say maybe 16.
10 right now?
Yeah, 16 in a row sounds right. 10 for 10 for E.T. King. First and goal at the 10. Coming up on the final stages of the first quarter. King drops to pass once more. King fires it short. And that hit looked like it came a little early, in my opinion. Drew really makes the quote-unquote pass deflection. But he got more of a deflection on Shan Varner.
Yeah, Cam, I can't believe you jinxed the quarterback.
Well, you brought it up.
Well, but you took it and ran with it, so it all falls on you.
Sorry for doing my job. Second and goal at the 10. 4 receivers, 3 to the right off the first incompletion for King, as Charles will point out. King back to throw, quickly over the middle. Oh, it's caught, and it's a touchdown! Going backwards into the end zone, Varner again.
Wow. That was E.T. King. This could be one of the best games of his career. He is just incredible. He's throwing accurate passes. He's standing in the pocket getting hit. And just that one pass right there just shows you how how outstanding he is from an accuracy standpoint.
A 6-play, 85-yard drive, and Chicago will take your poor field position and raise you a very methodical touchdown drive. They didn't even need Ash Odom. E.T. King continues his unbelievable stretch here over the last month. The extra point is up and good, and St. Louis is in some trouble. Visit sector6apparel.com for all league and team apparel, including hoodies, t-shirts, team jerseys, and more. Sector 6, the official apparel provider of the SFL.
Yeah, this is a big test for St. Louis. They've got to get something on the board here this next drive.
45 seconds remain in the first quarter. St. Louis has to get busy. Scored 36 points the last time they played Chicago. It's been a little bit more difficult up to this point today. Earl on the return. He won't even while they mark him at the 20, but that's a very generous spot. And for St. Louis, I mean, look at this offense. Last or dead last in scoring, and 3 consecutive 2-10 seasons. They have just as many wins this season as the last year and a half combined.
Yeah, that's a great turnaround there, and it all goes down to coaching. I mean, the coaching this season is just off the charts.
Hand off Dawson, breaks through a tackle, picks up 3. And I do like how St. Louis is attempting to stay ahead of the chains. Their last drive basically blown up by a holding call, which they did get out of, but just put them behind the 8 ball from the beginning.
Yeah, again though, they gotta start maybe pushing it to the outside here, not going in the middle, because that's dangerous against the secondary.
3 in the backfield, probably the last play of the first quarter. Hand off to Dawson, runs right through the middle, breaks a tackle, gets a first down. So Dawson able to get his best run of the day, and that is the end of the first quarter. St. Louis 0, Chicago 14. You're watching the Simulation Football League playoffs on 11 Sports and For the Fans. Start of the second quarter here at the Thunderdome in Chicago, Illinois. The Wildcats lead 14-0 here in the Season 14 playoff opener. St. Louis has a fresh set of downs after Dawson picked up the first. He'll take it off tackle, gets a couple of great blocks, breaks another one, and gets 12 to the 43-yard line. Dawson's starting to heat up after 19 yards on 6 carries in the first quarter.
Yeah, and just at the right time. This is a big series for St. Louis. This is what Diesel does best. You give him the ball, he lowers his head, he knocks people out of the way and gets the first down.
First down at the 43, and St. Louis did manage to put together a 9-play, 35-yard drive, but on the fringe of field goal range decided to punt it. That ended up being the wrong decision in hindsight. 3 receivers, 2 to the left. 4 Pickler on the short side, handoff Dawson again, and the offensive line went out to lunch, only a gain of 1, and lucky to get that. Tackle made by Gerald Giudice.
Yeah, on that particular play, it looks like the defense read run up the middle all the way, and almost, at the snap, they had a half step on the offensive line.
2 receivers either side, doubles look with Dawson in the backfield, nickel package for Chicago. And Pickler's going long down the middle. It's caught! Wow. It's Harrelson again! Sean Harrelson continues to be the kryptonite against this Wildcats defense, and St. Louis moves the chains again.
Yeah, great pass by Pickler. Plenty of time in the pocket, allowed that route to develop, and just put a beautiful pass over the shoulder there to Harrelson.
First down at the 33. Harrelson now with 53 yards on 3 receptions. Only Shan Varner has more receiving yards today. First and 10 at the 33. 3 in the backfield. Pickler changing the play. Gonna run it again outside of the left. Got a couple more blocks, and Dawson picking up 5, and they're having some success with that off-tackle run to the outside.
Yeah, they did, and it looked like they were going to go for a big gain there. It looks like they had blocking edge. The linebackers and the secondary, they just closed on that hole quick and shut it down.
2nd and 5 at the 28, 9 minutes to go in the first half. Pickler 3-step drop, fires it over the middle. That pass is complete. Dragging defenders to the 9-yard line, a 19-yard pickup. And the tackle at the end of that play made by Neil Patel. But Harrelson makes yet another catch.
Both Pickler and King are drinking the same juice. I mean, their accuracy today is just incredible.
Yosef assisted on that tackle. First and goal at the 9. Pickler now 7 of 8. The 2 quarterbacks now a combined 18 for 20 for 247 yards in the first half. 8:30 to go. Handoff Dawson inside the 10, down to the 7. A gain of about 2.5.
What a great luxury to have a running back like Dawson for these goal line situations. He's the perfect type of running back to run up the middle, knock heads, and get a positive gain.
2nd and goal at the 7. Out of the gun for Pickler. Back to pass. Pickler all day again. The pass is complete to the 1. And I have to say, Charles, I am quite frankly shocked at how well St. Louis's offensive line is playing in pass protection as Shaw gets his 2nd catch.
Yeah, it's given him plenty of time. It looks like on that particular play, the defense in Chicago gave them the 5 yards. They were just waiting in the end zone. They didn't want to get a pass in the end zone.
3rd and goal at the 1. That same nickel package for Chicago, just 6 in the box. Hand off to Dawson, walks in, touchdown St. Louis. Now the Gladiators are in a rhythm.
Yeah, they needed that touchdown bad, and it was on the back of Diesel Dawson. I mean, again, shows his value running, taking the pressure off the quarterback, allowing, the offensive line making great holes for him to run in. It's just overall A's across the board for the offense of St. Louis.
That was a 10-play, 82-yard drive, the longest drive today in terms of number of plays. And the kicker, Judah Dorgan, will attempt the extra point to slice the lead in half officially. And it's a perfect snap and a perfect hold, and both teams executing to a very high level as the playoffs continue in a moment. Chicago 14, St. Louis 7. You're watching the SFL on 11 Sports and for the fans. 7:33 to go in the first half. Chicago 14, St. Louis 7. This is the wild card round of the SFL playoffs. Davius Reed back to return the Dorgan kick. And it's very short to the 12. Reed on the return, and he is sliced at the 30.
Ouch.
Don't forget, coming up next at 3 Eastern, to Central, Mexico City takes on Queen City. Charles, those two teams have 5 championships between them in the SFL's 13 completed seasons.
Oh, man, these playoffs are going to be mad.
It is intense. First down and 10 at the 30. King fires, almost picked off. Nathan Blake steps in front of the pass.
Wow.
And for not having any mistakes in the first half, that could have been a really bad one from E.T. King.
Yeah, that had disaster written all over it. And Nathan Blake, for a second there, he was seeing the end zone.
Still a perfect quarterback rating for E.T. King. His passing yards match his rating at 158. Second and 10 at the 30. Split backs for King. Nickel look out of St. Louis's defense. King shuffles around in the pocket, fires it out to Odom on a check down, and Odom will stay in bounds and pick up 5. A combo stop by even Arthur and Freeman Peltier. How about Arthur last week, Charles? 2 pick sixes and 3 touchdowns. He tied the SFL record for pick touchdowns in a season with 3.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the entire secondary of St. Louis is just playing it, having an outstanding season.
3rd and 5. King, middle, incomplete. Varner takes a vicious hit from Douglas, and the two pals connect downfield.
Wow, Douglas has come to play today. He's all over the field, making those knockout hits.
Douglas lays him out. Boom.
Wow.
Right there. That is intense. And
ouch.
These are the two players that just made that play. Colin Douglas on the left.
In happier times.
That's right, in happier times, as we hope you're all doing well out there in the virtual world. Colin Douglas on the left. Goes by Colin Northup, also play-by-play commentator for the league. And Shan Varner on the right. Two team owners and players having a bite to eat. Back in those days when you could do that. And we hope everybody is safe out there in your world.
Mirth and merriment, Ken.
Say again?
Mirth and merriment.
Mirth?
That's what they were having. Yes.
I'm not even going to start. Let's stay on topic.
Okay.
I'm just going to make myself sound foolish if I go any further. 4 receivers for St. Louis at the 32-yard line. Nickel look for Chicago. The Wildcats having to punt for a rare time here in this first half as Dawson can't pick up anything.
Well, the St. Louis defense did their job, and now the pressure's on the St. Louis offense. The pressure's not as much as it was before since they got those points on the board, but they can't let up. They got to be consistent and keep driving down the field.
Second down at the 33-yard line. I think St. Louis has run on first down maybe 100% or at least 90% of the time in this first half. Again, a doubles look, the hand off to Dawson, and Dawson gets nothing. Clint Hendler's shot comes up to make the stop, and it's 3rd and 10.
Big 3rd and 10 here. Maybe they're setting us up on first down, Cam. Maybe next series, our next first down, they'll go deep.
The only time St. Louis has faced a 3rd and long today, the pass was completed down the field to Harrelson. He's at the bottom of your screen, right above the word Wildcats on the scoreboard, as Pickler going down the middle, but it's way overthrown, and I'm not sure if we're going to get a replay. Might have been some bump coverage, but St. Louis comes up empty, and now the defenses have started to come to life.
Yeah, that Chicago defensive line, and in particular Gerald Giudice, that last particular series, they've had their way with the offensive line on the pass rush.
So 2 incompletions through the first 11 minutes of action, and in the last 5 minutes, we've had a horrible 3 incompletions. We're just not used to it. The 35-yard line. Reed calls for a fair catch. Hundreds of you watching and participating in the twitch.tv chat room. Chat shoutouts to AJ Today Jackson, I'm F, and Problem Code Gaming HR. Optimus Klein, YouTube. How about them Cowboys 11? Mike Improda, DR Sim 80. Congrats on your new baby, Damon. We're glad you're safe and out of the hospital. Shacker 3, Donkey 3230, and many more as the handoff goes to Odom, and he won't get much. If you want to participate in that live chat with SFL owners, players, coaches, and fans, visit twitch.tv/FTFnext. Hello, Andy.
Ash Odoms hasn't had a lot of carries today, and 2 for 2 yards, I believe.
Hike the Earth, Skinny G 517, also in the chat, Never Satisfied 123. 2nd and 9 at the 36-yard line. 5 minutes to go. 3-step drop. Flip it out to Odom. Odom is wrestled down by Diesel initially, by Riley at the end of it, and a 3rd and 7 coming for Chicago. The Wildcats 0 for 2 in third down situations today.
Yeah, let's see if the Chicago offense tests the St. Louis Gladiators deep again.
4:40 to go in the first half. It has been an exciting one from start to finish. 5 wide for King. 3-2 dime look. King going long. It's tipped up in the air and incomplete. Wow. It would have served as basically a punt regardless, but wow. Nathan Blake now has had 2 opportunities for interceptions and couldn't come down with it.
Well, Chicago tested him deep, but St. Louis passed with flying colors. They were all over that, and there's no way they were going to get a completion.
Punt coming for Chicago. This will be their 3rd punt of the day on 5 drives. And that punt from Darren Franklin is away. Earl from the 24-yard line is speared at the 28. And back out comes the Chicago defense. And this is another one of those amazing stories in the SFL this season. Ryan Yosef and Buddy Blaze, in 5 games this season, 2 of the league's top tacklers, along with the usual Tank Bennett, DJ Majesty, and Aquanta Shine lineup in the top 5.
And they got hot just at the right time, and they're a big reason for the winning streak in Chicago.
1st and 10 at the 28, and Dawson churns the legs forward for 6. Boy, St. Louis would love it if they're the last ones to touch the football here in this first half. And as you mentioned just a few plays ago, Ash Odom's stat line, probably the most shocking thing of this first half.
Yeah, they've held him in check so far.
3 in the backfield. Hand off to Dawson, and Dawson picks up 3, and Denver Nightwings in the chat says, what are we watching? Well, I'll tell you, everybody out there. The Simulation Football League is the first controllerless esport, allowing you, the viewer, to participate in all the action on the field without a controller in your hands. Visit simulation.football for details on how to get started. With a team and in the league, 3rd down and 1. Dawson has a 1st down, and the drive will continue. The Denver Nightwings know all about the playoffs. They won last season's championship. This year, there will be a new champion.
Yeah, that was a setup, if I've ever seen one.
He teed me up.
Yeah, it was good.
You got to give the fans what they want sometimes, Charles.
Definitely. You've trained the SFL great. I mean, they know what to say and when. Unless
they want me to sing. That's only when I lose control. 3 receivers, 2 to the left, 4 Pickler, 3-step drop, fires it out to Dawson, and Dawson sheds a tackle, but then it gets rocked by Jesse Vick after a gain of only 1. And another slow, methodical drive for the Gladiators continues to drain time off this clock.
They're hitting Dawson with everything they have, but he's tough, man. He gets up and he's ready to fight the next play.
2:35 to play. 2 backs and 2 receivers for Pickler. Base nickel out of Chicago. Pickler fires it outside. A very wobbly pass. Gets over to Harrelson to bring up a 3rd down and 5. Starting tomorrow, action begins from Sioux Falls at 3 Eastern. In the quarterfinals, number 6 Charleston, number 3 Sioux Falls. The Predators, another one of those great stories this season, as South Carolina represented in the SFL playoffs for the first time. Trips. Bunch over to the right. Pass is incomplete. A little bit late, if I say so myself, to Nick Finch. And Nick Finch, like Ash Odom, very quiet in this first half. Their leading receiver, or at least their leading receiver on the depth chart, with his first target.
Yeah, first target of the game. Both Nick Finch and tight end Cody Scott aren't getting a lot of attention by their quarterback. It's probably the Chicago defense is locking them down.
Wildcats 14, Gladiators 7. Both defenses have stood taller here in the second quarter, and this is a dangerous place to be if you're St. Louis, with that high-powered Chicago passing game coming back on the field in the 2-minute offense. And if Chicago scores a touchdown before the end of the half, Charles, I think it might feel for St. Louis like they've done all this work over the last 10 or 11 minutes or so for nothing.
Yeah, that's a heck of a hole to dig out of, and it's plenty of time for Chicago to go through their offensive game plan.
St. Louis's third punt of the first half. 1st and 10 at the 27. Split backs, 3 receivers, 2 to the far side right for King. King fires it down the middle, tipped up in the air, and again St. Louis gets hands on footballs but cannot corral it. Chuck Diesel this time with the pass deflection, 1 second ahead of the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, I think they have maybe they have some opportunities if they start pushing it on the sidelines. I don't know how successful they're going to be if they keep trying in the middle.
140.6 QBR. It's slightly dipping for Chicago. Only 7 passing yards for King in the last few minutes. King flips it out to Odom. He does have some room on the outside. Odom gets rid of one and then gets crushed by another. We've seen that a bunch of times today in the SFL playoffs. We've hit the 2-minute warning, and the Wildcats still maintain a 7-point lead, neck and neck. Who's advancing to the quarters? We're back after this. Third down and 5 at the 32-yard line. Chicago trying to keep this 2-minute offense alive. Single coverage up to the top. Liam Hammer's been a little quiet. Hammer on this play in the slot. King is in trouble, and the first sack of the day belongs to St. Louis. And making the play up front, Tony Roberto, the 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, that's his 6th sack of the season so far, and that whole defensive line of St. Louis has really come together. Shane Masters clearly the lead up there, but they're gelling really well and causing havoc in the backfield.
St. Louis choosing to protect their timeouts, so the Wildcats will bleed this clock all the way down to about 1:16 or so. Neither punter has faced a lot of pressure on punts this afternoon. And from the 36-yard line, Earl actually gets a pretty decent return up to the 42-yard line. That's now 5 consecutive drives with punts.
Yeah, this is a good advantage for St. Louis now. They've got 1 minute, plenty of time to put some points on the board. I believe they also get the ball back in the second half.
The winner, not sure where they'll go. They'll either go to Atlanta or Baltimore, depending upon who wins the next game between Queen City and Mexico City. 1:07 to go for Pickler. Starts out in the gun, and Pickler's going long. It's caught! First down to the 37-yard line. That's Nick Finch with his first reception of the day. And St. Louis has found, surprisingly, a lot of success going deep middle.
Yeah, Finch was able to find that hole in the zone, and a perfect pass by Pickler as well.
1:01 to go. And St. Louis wisely calling a timeout there. You look at Ryan Yosef, been a bit quieter than he's been in recent weeks. 3 receivers all to the near side here. Pickler pump fake, nearly sacked, fires it quickly, and it's caught by Earl. An 8-yard gain, and Johnny Pickler's stellar first half. I mean, he is showing no nerves. 12 for 15, 138 yards, does not have a pick, and has not been sacked.
Yeah, he's got ice in his veins. He's standing in the pocket there when it starts to break down. He doesn't flinch, just stays in there, guns the ball out, and the wide receiver has the wherewithal to get out of bounds and stop the clock.
Now in field goal range, 3 in the backfield for St. Louis. I better hope they don't get caught in a no-huddle here as Dawson picks up a first down on the 25, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. We have not seen a pass out of this formation yet today. St. Louis does have 2 timeouts remaining. Handoff to Dawson, runs middle again. Dawson discards 2 defenders, and they're wearing him down, now down to the 20.
It looks like they're playing for a field goal.
That's what it looks like. They need a timeout after this play to regroup. Dawson, nothing there, and there it is. That's smart there from St. Louis. 1 timeout left, but 29 seconds to go, and they take the timeout on 3rd down to try to get momentum going towards the end zone.
Yeah, I think they've already committed here, Cam. I don't know if, I watched them prove me wrong, but I wouldn't take a shot in the end zone at this point.
You obviously want to get some points out of this. St. Louis will get the ball to start the second half. They'll float it out to Dawson. That is not going to get it done, and St. Louis will burn the timeout so they don't have to rush the field goal unit on. But that will save Chicago some time. And Charles, you got to throw that. If you're Pickler, you got to throw that ahead of the sticks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think again they made the commitment. They should have just ran it up the middle again, get better position in there for their kicker.
So the ball now rests on the left hash, and if they would have kicked the field goal earlier in the half, it would have been about from 49 yards away, and they'd be trying to make it a 1-point game. But like we said, they do get the ball to start the second half, so St. Louis may be trying to ensure a 2-for-1 opportunity. 36-yard field goal for Dorgan is up and good, and the Gladiators have scored the last 10 points of the ball game.
Yeah, big drive for St. Louis. They needed to put something on the board. Now it's a 4-point deficit, and they're looking good coming into the second half.
7-play, 38-yard drive for the Gladiators. And for St. Louis, both of their scoring drives have now come with at least 7 plays. They also had a 9-play drive, and those 3 drives, actually the 4 drives for St. Louis, 9, 10, 7, 7. Chicago has not had a drive of over 6 plays today, as Reed returns it up to the 28. St. Louis has had the ball 41 plays, and Chicago 26 here in the first half.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough time to do something here, but if there's any team that can get the ball down the field quickly, it's Chicago.
First
Keep
and
an
10.
eye on Hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Up at the top of the screen there. And look at that. Is there a deep safety? There's one deep safety here. First and 10 of the 28. Hammer's going long. Deep shot down the field. It's caught. And we're going to tackle Varner. And they're going to score. Varner has 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Oh, yeah. You scratch your head on the formation there. I would have had. They challenged the quarterback, and he made him pay for it. Shan Varner, 3rd touchdown of the game. So far, he's the MVP of the game. Unbelievable.
Peltier was racing after Varner, and if he just would have not tried to go for the interception, as Shan Varner talking some trash there at the end of that play, then or wasting time, one or the other, then Peltier might have been able to make the tackle at the end of that, or at least slowed him down for Douglas to make the play. And I'm surprised that Varner would talk trash there. If you remember, SFL Nation, a few weeks ago, Ash Odom tried to wave goodbye to Seattle before going into the end zone, and then ended up getting all turned around, ran the wrong way, and got a touchdown taken away from him.
Well, Cam, leading up to this game, I think there's been some dialogue between both teams in social media. So They're trying to prove it on the field, and I think Shan was just reminding them of how he felt about his chances of winning the game.
Varner has dominated the first half, 137 yards, and all of his catches, all three of them, have gone for touchdowns. That 137 is a season high, and coming into the game, he only had 4 touchdowns the entire season.
Yeah, all the momentum that St. Louis had just evaporated on that one bomb.
Well, unless Pickler has an answer,
He's trying.
They will go empty, so St. Louis staying aggressive. That would be the wildest last 10 seconds of a half in league history. Pickler steps up in the pocket, just dumps it short. Nobody was open down the field. And that brings us to the end of the first half. What an exciting half of football. St. Louis gets the ball to start the third frame. And we head to the 2K Sports halftime report. Well, Charles, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, St. Louis, it got punched in the face early in the game. They came back, made it tight, got within 4, but then that Chicago offense just exploded. And it looks like E.T. King is going to have another phenomenal game back-to-back. I mean, he's got 242 yards in the first half and 3 touchdowns. Shan Varner is just playing lights out. St. Louis has got to come up with something to stop this offense, because right now they clearly have the advantage.
St. Louis has got to stop the big play. Chicago, 3 touchdowns and just 4 first downs in the first half. These long touchdown plays, I mean, they're really the difference, because St. Louis playing maybe a little bit more ball control, but their defense cannot stay on the field. They're giving up too many points.
Yeah, definitely have to stretch that defense out and do the bend, don't break philosophy. Don't challenge the quarterback. Don't rush the quarterback, because he's...
Some stars on the defense for Chicago today. Reese Spurgeon with 7 solo tackles. Buddy Blaze with 5. Gerald Giudice with 5 on the Chicago side of the ball. For St. Louis, Peltier leads in tackles with 4. Dawson, 61 yards, but on 19 carries, Charles. When will he slow down just from wear and tear in the second half? At some point, it's going to be in Pickler's hands more often.
Yeah, they're going to have to put the pressure on the rookie quarterback to get some points on the board, because Diesel Dawson, his yards per carry isn't high. He's not the explosive long run halfback, but he's efficient, but he's not going to put points on the board quickly. Start
of the second half here from the Thunderdome in Chicago, Illinois, alongside Stephen Hacker, Charles Doherty. I'm Cameron Irvine, and this is just the beginning of the SFL playoffs. The championship game, Sunday, April 26th. And don't miss the action tomorrow, starting at 3 Eastern. Charleston takes on Sioux Falls in the 6-3 matchup in the second half is underway. Here comes Chase Earl from his goal line. And Earl, best return of the day, but only up to the 25. And back out comes St. Louis.
Yep, all the pressure right now is on Johnny Pickler. He had a decent first half, 14 for 17, 144 yards, no touchdowns, but no mistakes either. Now he's going to have to put a couple TDs on the board.
Rick Northrup in the chat just said, I just threw all of Shan's medals off the bridge into the river. Wow. You don't think people care about who wins and loses this game, as Dawson cannot pick up anything. And we showed a picture of Colin Northrup and Shan Varner earlier. St. Louis has 2 owners. There's their other on the left, Dwayne Schindler, and Shan out to... Doesn't that picture just make you miss social life, Charles? I hope everyone's staying safe out there, but man, that looks like fun.
Yep, and it makes me miss beer too. Sorry, I went there.
2nd and 10 at the 25. Handoff Dawson, running off tackle, got a couple of blocks, but Clint Hendershot goes unblocked, and Dawson is laid down again, 3rd and 7.
Hey, that picture though also tells you how much fun you have at conventions.
It
If you're thinking
does.
about going, you got to go, man, because it's an incredible time.
And we hope to have our convention in Jacksonville in July, but if we don't, great idea. Credit Ashley Jackson. We will have a virtual convention at some point over the summer, and we'll connect with a lot of SFL people that we've never met before, and hopefully can have some fun that way. That pass caught by Nick Finch down the field to the 42.
Yeah, nice drive so far by St. Louis, and Finch is starting to get involved in the game, which is needed because he's he's one of the big targets for Pickler.
A pattern over the middle, I believe, by Earl froze Hendershot. It looked like he was unregarded to the quarterback and was going to get a sack, but instead backed off and played zone, and that afforded Pickler some extra time. Hand off to Dawson, and Dawson picks up 6, and they are wearing down this Wildcat rush defense with Diesel Dawson to keep Pickler in second and third and short situations.
Yeah, they're going to get to a point here quickly where that type of running style and plays is going to actually keep them from getting points on the board. They're going to need to pick it up a little bit.
2nd and 4 at the 48-yard line. Handoff goes to Dawson, and Dawson picks up a couple more. 3rd and 2, what would you do here, Charles? That wrap-up made by Raymond Jones III.
Well, completely against what I said previously, I'd run the ball up the middle, give it to Diesel, make him knock some people on their keister.
3rd down and 2. St. Louis needs right at the 48-yard line. The Gladiators 3 for 9 on 3rd down today. Dawson alone in the backfield. Pickler going to throw. Pickler pump fake, and a dangerous ball. Should have checked it down to Dawson. Ryan Yosef with the deflection, and St. Louis is starting to fall behind here.
I would go for it on this one, Cam. I mean, one thing you don't want to do, Chicago is on fire on offense. You don't want to give them the ball back and let them put points on the board.
All slants down the middle, well defended, although Dawson did go out and take a check down. Finch is off the field, so it looks like they will punt. St. Louis continues to play maybe a little bit more conservative than we might have expected here today, and we'll get their first look at the St. Louis defense when we come back here from break. They've got to make some second half adjustments. Davius Reed, nice return out to the 30. Will set them up in decent field position. Chicago up 11. They've been in control this whole game, but St. Louis's defense has a chance to respond next. You're watching the Simulation Football League on 11 Sports and For the Fans. Follow the SFL on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and more, all at Simulation FL. Make sure to catch more content like The Kramer Show, game highlights, and more by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment of the action when we're not on television. 1st and 10 at the 33 in the backfield now for Chicago. Haven't seen this look much out of him today. Odom is smacked. Only a 1-yard gain. Now 8 yards rather, on 3 carries.
Yeah, let's see what they do, Cam. On their Chicago offense is in a great position of having a solid lead here. Are they going to keep trying to push it down the field, or are they going to try and get Odom a little more involved?
2nd down and 9. We'll find out. King going to throw. King quickly outside. Torres stops on a dime. Thought he was going to go out of bounds. Picks up 4. Arthur and 1 other on the tackle. Sets up 3rd down, where Chicago still has not converted today.
I didn't expect that out of Torres. I thought he was going out of bounds. I mean, his 2 feet were in, but he had some agility and just turned it upfield pretty quickly.
7:25 to go in the 3rd quarter. Chicago has led the entire game, but it's always been a 2-score ball game. 3rd and 5, split backs, 3 receivers. King going to throw. King going long. This is where St. Louis has been in trouble, and the pass is knocked away. Much better defense down the field this time on Hammer, and Peltier forces Chicago off the field once more.
Great defense by St. Louis, and let's get the ball back in Pickler's hands and see what he can do.
Punt for Chicago as both defenses, while there's been plenty of scoring here today, both defenses have done a nice job. Both quarterbacks staying away from the obvious horrible throws. Neither quarterback with an interception as Earl gets it up to the 25-30, and Earl with a nice return to the 33-yard line. The final game of the weekend, number 5 Jacksonville, number 4 Vancouver, a rematch of a wild shootout that Mike Daggs and Matt Wilson had earlier this year on FTF, and that's where one of our top plays from the season in our highlight package from pregame comes in. That Ken Gossett catch, one of my favorite plays and calls of the year.
That was your favorite, not the
one
the
of the
run.
favorites.
Wow.
What? What are you talking
my
about?
Buddy. Nothing.
1st and 10 at the 33. Dawson, nothing. Actually lost a yard. Blaze on the tackle. That run at the first part of that video was better than that. If
Yeah, it's okay.
you can accept that.
I just want to talk about something else.
What would you like to talk about, Charles? 6:40. You snooze, you lose. 7-11 or 2nd and 11. Here, deep shot, incomplete. Joseph
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Dodged a bullet on that one.
did dodge a bullet. 3rd down.
Yeah, good pressure by the defensive line of Chicago was hitting, Pickler while I was trying to get rid of the ball, and I think that impacted his pass, and he dodged the bullet. Looked like we were going to get an interception out of this.
St. Louis averaging 6.1 plays per drive. That's pretty standard. Chicago averaging 3.8 plays a drive, meaning on average they're not even picking up a first down. Wild, and they're up 11. 3rd and 11 for Pickler. Back to throw. Again, a clean pocket. Deep shot. Corner.
Wow.
Caught. Missed tackle. Harrelson. 20. 10. Sean Harrelson. Touchdown, St. Louis.
Wow. It starts up front. The offensive line gave Pickler plenty of time to let that play develop. Just look at that. Wasn't even touched. Able to get the ball, into Harrelson's hands, and he took it to the house for his 5th touchdown of the season.
McGuire, who had a phenomenal first half. He was all over the field, completely whiffed on that coverage, and Sean Harrelson continues to be the Chicago killer here in season 14.
Yeah, they definitely needed that, Cam, at the right time to put some points on the board and put some of the pressure off the offense.
So St. Louis manages to get a stop on their first defensive possession or defensive stand, and the offense responds in kind. It's Pickler's first postseason touchdown of his career, and the extra point for the Gladiators is good. 6:26 to go in the 3rd quarter. It's now back to a 4-point game. You're watching the SFL Wild Card Playoffs on 11 Sports and for the fans. Don't go anywhere. .26 to go in the 3rd quarter. From Chicago, Illinois, alongside Stephen Hacker, Charles Doherty, I'm Cameron Irvine, and Chicago keeps trying to fight off the St. Louis Gladiators in their first playoff appearance in franchise history. They'll start the next drive from the 28-yard line. If you're new to the SFL, get your spot in the SFL Minor League SFLM today to hashtag claim your spot and begin your SFL career. Subscriptions are going lightning fast, and the inaugural kickoff is next Wednesday, the 22nd. First Pro subscribers get first priority on choosing their position, so don't delay your career another second. We can't wait for you to hashtag make an impact. Over 130 players now set to participate in that minor league as Varner has a first down to the 46-yard line. And what's he doing, Charles? That's his first catch without a touchdown.
Yeah, I know. He's going to have to pick it up a little bit here. But St. Louis has got to put a man on him because he's just torching him all day.
Oh, man. I mean, that's the easiest hot read for E.T. King of all time.
Let's go.
6 minutes left in the third. Rob Roy, 88-91. Rick's Bank, Fear Dog, Raymond Jones, 3. D-Day, 54. All, Look Alive, 24, all in the chat who we didn't get to shout out last time. That pass nearly picked off. First time Varner has, check that, third time Varner has been targeted without a reception. Douglas was there on the coverage, second down.
Did you see him? He just flew like a superhero through the air trying to knock that down. That was incredible.
Man, if he would have picked that off, that might have been the best interception in league history. I mean, that was unbelievable. Great effort. Second down and 10, halfway through the third quarter. St. Louis stacking the box, and Odom gets away, picks up 9. That's one of Odom's best runs. And this St. Louis heavy package on defense has been something that Chicago has been able to take advantage of most of the day, surprisingly. 3rd and 1.
Yeah, maybe we'll see Odom start to get into a groove here and put some yards per carry.
5:23 to go in the third of an absolute nail-biter to start the postseason. 2 receivers, 2 in the backfield. Nickel look for St. Louis. King gonna throw. Straight back, great pocket. King deep, it's picked off! Intercepted, first turnover of the game. And down the field with the interception was, believe it or not, the linebacker, Mark Gronick, defending Varner down the field.
Yeah, that's rare. You don't see a lot of linebackers getting interceptions in this league. And you don't see many linebackers with the ability to cover like Gronick did on that. He was all over the receiver.
Mark Gronick making the play, his first interception of the season, as Pickler will now fire outside, and it's off the hands, and then Finch gets blasted out of bounds by Buddy Blaze. No flag.
No flag at all. Yeah, that was close there, Cam.
Mark Gronick, a Chicago native, a couple on this squad, including Pickler. How about that to get your first pick of your career?
Yeah. All your family in the stands.
2nd and 10 at the 25 off the incomplete pass. Pickler now 16 of 22 for 230 and a score. King 17 of 25, 3 touchdowns, and now the 1 interception. 5:05 to go in the third. Pickler going to throw again. Pickler on the corner route. It's picked off. Ryan Yosef steps in front. It was a double coverage on Cody Scott, who's been blanketed all day.
Yeah, and you notice that the defense made an adjustment there before the snap and dropped back into coverage, and Pickler played right into their hands and threw it into coverage.
So back-to-back interceptions after a turnover-free first half, and that wipes away the momentum that St. Louis has put together, and it seems like every time St. Louis gets close to taking the lead, Chicago makes a play to cast them aside. Odom picks up 6. He's running a lot harder in the second half.
Definitely, yeah, putting his head down like a bull, knocking people out of the way. Now's the time to do it because the defense in this third quarter and getting into the fourth, they're going to start getting a little gassed.
To keep up with how your player and team are doing this season, visit simulationfl.net for standings, leaderboards, and sortable team stats. The rookie big board is there too, tracking the next superstars of the SFL. 2nd and 4 at the 33. 1 receiver either side, hammer bottom of the screen. This is King, fired out to Odom. Odom running backwards, and Odom's going to lose yards and drive maybe out of field goal range. Get driven, I should say, out of field goal range. Arthur on the tackle. There's the QB comparison. King still with the slight edge.
Yeah, St. Louis has got to stop him here and get that ball back into Pickler's hands. They're in a perfect position to take the lead, but it starts here on this play.
King cannot take a sack, needs just ahead of the 29-yard line for a first down. King to pass, floats it into double coverage. It's incomplete, and I think that was Blake again. Yes, it was. Nathan Blake now with 3 passes defended, and it's going to test the leg of Anthony Cece.
What's this, a 52-yard kick? I think his longest is 49.
So this would be a new season long for Anthony Cece. See if they mark it officially 51 or 52. About 51 and a half. They'll probably give him 51 here. This would make it a 7-point game. From 51 yards for a new career high. High snap. Good hold. Cece's kick is on the way, and it's good just over the bar.
Wow.
Oh my, his perfect season continues.
Welcome to the playoffs. That's a great kick.
Chicago 24, St. Louis 17. You're watching the Simulation Football League on 11 Sports and for the fans. We'll be right back. .353 to go in the third. Some key players in this ball game. Nick Finch with 108 yards on just 3 receptions. Shan Varner 151 yards on 4 receptions. Harrelson 85 yards on 5 catches. He's been their most consistent target as Earl returns it up to the 24. Dawson 72 yards on 24 carries, but they've been throwing a little bit more here in the second half. St. Louis staying balanced with 24 runs, 23 passes, while Odom's up to 14 yards on 5 carries.
Yeah, St. Louis isn't in a bad spot here. They're only down by a touchdown, so they don't need to force it down the field. All their plays in their playbook are still valid at this point.
8th meeting between these two teams, and 5 of the previous 7 have been decided by 1 score. It's a 1-score ball game here. Dawson breaks a tackle and picks up 4 to the 28-yard line, averaging 3 a carry.
Yeah, good that they're keeping Diesel Dawson engaged here. He's, throughout the game, he's been lit up by the defense of Chicago, but he's still holding strong there. Doesn't look like he's lost a step at all.
2nd and 6. I think St. Louis's offensive adjustment is that they've gone away from that 3-back set. They ran it a lot in the first half. Haven't seen it as much in the second half. Handoff Dawson, and Dawson is crushed. Judas Sessi makes another play. He's having one heck of a day on the defensive front, and Hendershot also helped him clean the mess.
Yeah, Judas Sessi is really standing tough there on that line. He's any play up the middle, you always see his fingerprints on the running back.
3rd down and 6. Dawson, sidecar right. Pickler looking for an open receiver. Caught! Oh, they mark him short. That's got to be a challenge. Cody Scott with the reception. That is a terrible spot.
That's Cody Scott. I think that's his first target of the game, too. That was a great pass. He was covered by 3 defenders.
And smartly, Gerald Smith will challenge. Let's take a look. His entire body and the ball.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He started to come back right when the ball hit his hands. Yeah, I don't think he got it. Let's see.
Really?
I don't know. I could be right.
After review, the call on the field is
Overturn.
I've been wrong.
I think it was the forward progress that did it for me.
Yeah.
And I've been wrong too. So I just got lucky today. St. Louis gets the first down. Who says?
Don't ever say Cam is wrong.
1st and 10 at the 34-yard line. 2:38 to go in the third. You paint me with such a cruel brush. Handoff Dawson. 3 in the backfield. Dawson breaks through a tackle. Actually hurdled a man on the ground. Picks up 8. Yosef with his 4th tackle. He is filling the stat sheet today.
Yeah, it's got to start wearing on Chicago there. All those runs up the middle by Diesel.
Some disagreements in the chat, so it wasn't just us, Charles, about whether that was a first down or not for St. Louis. 2nd and 2. The successful challenge keeps the drive alive. 2:08 to go in the third. Here comes Dawson. The tackles pull, and he's got a first down to the 49. The tackle and guard pulled out on that play. And Hendershot, who caught Dawson in the backfield on a similar play in the first half, was unable to catch up to him there on a slower developing run.
Yeah, perfect patience by Diesel, letting the play develop, letting his blockers get in place, and was able to execute that run perfectly.
1st and 10 at the 49, 1:38 to go in the third quarter. 3 receivers. Pickler flips it outside, caught by Dawson. Nothing there, a loss of 1. And in the trenches, making the play, Ron Hoff.
That's tough to do. You know, having a big run like that on outside, getting lit up by the defense, then you got to catch a screen pass. It's hard to get the juice to run up the field quickly.
2nd and long, strong power eye again. Hand off to Dawson, will pick up 2, so it's back in Pickler's hands. And it's almost like, Charles, St. Louis is more than willing to shorten the game and put it in Pickler's hands on 3rd downs. That's been their strategy most of the day.
Yeah, that's impressive. You know, I keep forgetting that that's a rookie there standing in the backfield there. He's playing like a 10-year veteran.
4 receivers on a 3rd down and 9. Pump fake. Pickler into traffic. It's incomplete. And there's another slants play over the middle that has plagued St. Louis on 3rd down. Yosef in traffic, in coverage. And St. Louis's drive stalls out, and the Gladiators just that close once again.
Yeah, just that close. I think the ball hit the receiver in the hands. I don't know if that was batted down. Did you see that, Cam?
Yeah, I think you're right, Charles. I think it might have been dropped. It might have been a little bit behind Shaw, but it looked like he had a chance. Punt is away. Trying to pin Chicago deep. Fair catch called for at the 19. So decent field position, all things considered, for Chicago. Coming up next, don't go anywhere, from Buffalo, New York, the Queen City Corsairs host the Mexico City Aztecs. A star-studded affair. Jet Zero, Phoenix Jones, 2 dynamic fullbacks. Both teams use them very differently. Queen City's defense is unbelievable. Matt Wilson is the league's all-time leader in passing touchdowns. It's going to be one heck of a fight as those 2 teams square off at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. King on a 1st down and 10, fires it out to Reed. Picks up 4. And an update on the QB comparison has King now slotted at 261.
And how often do you say 2 dynamic fullbacks in one game? I mean, that's incredible. I love the fact that the fullbacks are starting to take hold in this league.
2nd and 6. There's a look at Varner. He's having the game of his life here today with the 3 receiving touchdowns, nearly matching his total for the season. Odom is dropped. Only a 1-yard gain. Franco Sonati making the play, and St. Louis's defensive front has not gotten the credit they deserve today for keeping Odom in check. And with that last run, that will bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Put your 4s up in the chat and at home. St. Louis 17, Chicago 24. The dramatic conclusion of the playoff opener coming up next. Welcome back to Chicago, Illinois. Stephen Hacker doing a tremendous job breaking down all the stats behind the scenes, feeding us some great information with Charles Doherty as our analyst today. I'm Cameron Irvine on play-by-play. Split backs on 3rd and 5 for Chicago, up 7. King has plenty of time, and the pass is incomplete. How about the job St. Louis has done on Liam Hammer today? 9 touchdowns 5. I was right the first time. 9 touchdowns in his last few games. And as we get a look at Gronick making another play on the football there. And Hammer today, just 1 catch.
I'm not sure if the defender was able to deflect that, but looked like the receiver still had a shot at it. And this so far they haven't gotten a first down today on 3rd.
Chicago 0 for 8. That's as shocking of a stat that we've seen all day. On 3rd down, that is. This is Earl from the 39-yard line. Not much room there. Just as what I was talking about with Hammer. He's got 9 touchdowns in his last 5 games played, but he leads the league in yards per catch at 20.3. Obviously only has the 1 today for 48. Cody Scott on the other side, he's 10th in the league, 3rd amongst tight ends in yards per catch at 17.5, but he only has 1 catch for 6 yards on 2 targets in the ballgame. 4 receivers. Back to pass, Pickler. Pickler fires out route, caught, and that's a first down, moving the feet. And what it tells me, Charles, about just how this game has developed as Earl picks up a first down, is that both teams did a great job scouting. Ash Odom and Liam Hammer, 2 dynamic weapons for Chicago, held very much in check. Nick Finch and Cody Scott, 2 of the leading weapons for St. Louis, also held in check.
Definitely. And you got to give credit there to Chase Earl on that catch. He caught it 2 yards behind the chains and was able to power through 2 defenders and get the first down.
1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. Pickler's pass is underthrown, picked off. Joseph gets a hand on it, and Ron Hoff takes it away. Pickler's got to put more zip on it, and Chicago again protects the lead.
Again, it looks like they were waiting for that pass in the middle, and Ron Hoff gets his 5th interception of the season at the right time. They had to stall that St. Louis offense.
Wow. Just another opportunity. If you're a St. Louis fan, this game has to be excruciating right now because the team has played well. They've been trailing the entire ball game. 10-13 to play. Handoff to Odom. Odom gets a couple of blocks, breaks a tackle. Longest run of the day for either running back. And Odom gets all the way down to the 16-yard line. Long at 34.
Wow. I love the fact that they kept giving the ball to the halfback, and it paid off on this run. Perfect run, read the blocking perfectly, lowered his head, dropped the boom, got a huge run, and Chicago fans are on their feet.
Peltier went flying. 10 minutes to go in the 4th. Chicago getting back into a rhythm. Scored 30 against St. Louis the first time around. Of course, the Gladiators won that game 36-30 in overtime. King fires far side, caught! It's a touchdown!
Wow.
Davius Reed reaches over the pylon and scores!
You'd love to see that replay, just see how close he got in there. That's perfect body control. Able to stay in bounds and get past the pylon.
Watch him extend the ball here. Right there.
Oh!
Boy, that's close.
That's a highlight right there.
I think he got it, though. Even on second look. No, well, St. Louis is going to challenge. Hopefully we have a look down the line. This would be
So this time you guess, Cam. I lost the last one.
Well, this would be the second successful challenge for St. Louis today. Although I don't know how much it really does for the Gladiators. It still puts the ball on the 1. That's a terrible angle.
Just have to guess, Cam. Come on, commit.
I'm going to say that the play
stands.
stands.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Touchdown. And St. Louis has charged a timeout.
Cam is never wrong.
The Wildcats go back up by 2 touchdowns. So what's crazy about this is the Wildcats went up 14-0 at the start of this game, and we're right back where we started. And the Gladiators, I mean, it just goes to show you, Charles, the opportunities. When you have opportunities, you have to take them. And St. Louis has given so many opportunities to tie or take the lead in this game away. And the Wildcats make them pay. That is the 4th touchdown for E.T. King in the ball game. And in the last 3 games, King now has 14 touchdown passes.
Yeah, he's on fire. Yeah, he's definitely opening the eyes to from the rest of the SFL.
9:51 to go. Still plenty of time, but the Wildcats continue to be in control, trying to face either Atlanta or Baltimore in the quarterfinals. That'll be Wednesday night. Earl evaporates at the 25-yard line off the hit.
Here we go for Johnny Pickler. Let's see if the legend will continue.
As long as Chicago has been able to avoid 3rd down, they've been just fine. 0 for 8 today. St. Louis has faced 13
It's amazing.
3rd downs, and let's see if the Gladiators can get aggressive with 9:47 to go in the game. Pickler to throw. Pickler quickly outside. Pass was behind Finch. Dangerous ball. It could have been pick 6, but Finch just able to get the paws out there for his 3rd catch of the day.
Do you ever recall a team in the SFL winning that has not converted a 3rd down attempt?
No. No, I mean, it's one of the most bizarre stats. I mean, how do you win a game without converting a single 3rd down?
It's wackadoo.
2nd and 5 at the 30. I formation here for St. Louis. They don't have to hurry, but they got to press. Hand off Dawson. Dawson missed the hole. Had it on the left side, ran right into Hendershot for no gain. And St. Louis better stay away from that slant up the middle because that has been killing them in the second half.
Yeah, they got to get a 1st down here. The pressure's on the offense.
The 14th 3rd down of the game for St. Louis. 9:03 to go. Nickel look for Chicago. 3 receivers far side left. And the out route's open, so is the little corner route. Short corner, soft corner for a 1st down to the 37. Chase Earl with the catch, and what a smart play by Pickler. Could have gone to Finch, but he waited too long. That would have resulted in a punt. Now the drive stays alive.
Yeah, he got that ball out of his hands like a rocket and got it right into the receiver because that was closing pretty quickly. He didn't have a very big window to get that ball off.
2 receivers, 2 in the backfield, 8.5 to go. 1st and 10 on the 37. Hand off Dawson, and Dawson churns ahead for 5. You know, if St. Louis can get a score on the board with, what do you think, Charles? Maybe about 5 minutes or so? I mean, it's a 1-score game with 5 minutes left, but St. Louis is testing fate here with this strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I think the sense of urgency needs to get turned up a notch.
3 receivers, 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Hand off Dawson on a 2nd and 5. He's crushed. Clint Hendershot. Check that, Buddy Blaze on the stop. So another 3rd down for St. Louis. Already the 6th play of the drive, and they're still in their own territory.
Yep, another big 3rd down here. They got to make it. Let's see what they decide to do. They got a couple options. Do they run it up the middle, or well, they're going heavy.
Wow, they're going heavy. 3-back set on 3rd down and 3. The line shifts to the strong side for Chicago. They're going to hand it off up the gut. Dawson has the 1st down. What a gutsy call for St. Louis. Hey, you got to be true to yourself, Charles.
That's the definition of power running right there. I love watching him run between the tackles. It's incredible.
Dawson,
and he's still got the juice.
A whopping 33 carries for 102 yards on the day.
He doesn't look tired at all, Cam.
7:03 left. Pickler going to throw. Pickler deep down the field, caught by Scott. The offensive line once again giving Pickler the time to throw. They have neutralized that Chicago defensive front all day.
They lulled him to sleep. They kept expecting the run up the middle, and they just were able to get it off to the tight end in the middle.
And going up for it, Cody Scott, their top deep threat down the field. 6:45 to go. Gladiators on the drive to the 27 of the Wildcats.
Only the third time he's been targeted, Cam.
Split backs in the backfield for Pickler. 3 receivers. Pickler going to throw. Pickler steps up in the pocket. He's in trouble. And Pickler takes his first sack of the day. Buggy Mosley, signed in week 11.
Buggy Mosley, I believe. Well, he's 6'4", 280. Not the tallest guy out there, but he definitely made his name on that last play.
Time not on St. Louis's side on a 2nd and 14 with 6:14 to go in the fourth quarter. Same formation. Pickler, quick throw to nobody. Buddy Blaze looked like he was the intended receiver, and it's 3rd and long for St. Louis. They've already converted 2 on this drive. This will be their 16th of the game.
Let's see if they've Chicago's got the interesting names for their tight ends. They got Buggy on one side and Eagle on the other. Let's see if they can get in the face of Pickler.
St. Louis 40% on 3rd down. 4 receivers, 3 to the bottom of the screen for Pickler. 7 in the box for Chicago. They back off, just rush 4. Pickler going long. It is caught at the 9-yard line.
Unbelievable.
Jump ball. Harrelson. He's got 176 yards. The Chicago Killer.
That could be one of the plays of the game for St. Louis. Perfect route. Put the ball right where you needed to, and he fought for it and brought it in.
Harrelson owning McGuire today. 5:48 and counting, but now St. Louis is on the 9. 3-back set. Line shifts to strong side. They got an extra in the box as well. Hand off to Dawson, up the gut. Dawson gets to the 5, and St. Louis continues to take their time, but they better score quick. They don't want to get into an onside kick situation.
I think it would have been interesting if they were able to maybe hurry up here. It looks like they had the personnel on a mismatch. They could have possibly thrown it in the end zone and got a score.
They got to score right here, right? Otherwise, they're going to get into a difficult spot. 2nd and goal at the 5. 3-back set again. Dawson, another handoff. Dawson to the 2. That is carry number 35. The clock keeps rolling.
Yeah, they're going up against it. Looks like a nickel set on Chicago. It's interesting on goal line that they're calling nickel.
St. Louis now with 2 in the backfield on a 3rd and goal from the 2. It's 4-down territory now. Gladiators have been their own worst enemy here in the fourth quarter. Pickler going to throw, and Pickler is a touchdown! I can't believe it! Cody Scott with the score!
Oh, man. Yeah, I thought with that formation, that defense that they were showing, that they could have got an easy run up the middle, but he threw it into coverage. Perfect throw to Cody Scott, his 7th touchdown of the season.
Between the hands of Mickey McGuire.
Yes, that was dangerous, Cam. That was dangerous.
Right past the ear hole. A 13-play, 67-yard drive. And a very important extra point is up and through. 4:35 left. We'll see if St. Louis onside kicks when we return. 31-24. A photo finish here on Wild Card Weekend.
Here we go.
All right, what's St. Louis going to do? Looks like they're going to onside kick. This is always a very risky thing to do with under 5 minutes to go in the game. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Gladiators,
Magic.
trying to steal a possession. Dorgan kicks it deep.
Yeah.
And that was almost like a squib kick. That wasn't even an onside kick. And St. Louis going to have to play defense.
Yeah, that was fielded perfectly, Cam. And I fear that St. Louis might have taken too much time off the clock on that last drive. And
they did. It put them in that situation.
Definitely looking for Chicago to make a mistake here.
I think they tried to catch Chicago off guard. I mean, they didn't even act like they were going to kick it into that crowd. Dorgan kicked it right down the middle from the onset. Here comes Ash Odom, and Odom picks up 8 and gets into CC range, and now St. Louis needs a turnover or to give up a very quick score, although the way they're playing offense today, that's not good either.
Yeah, all Chicago needs to do is milk the clock here, and they're going to the next round.
Yeah, if St. Louis ends up losing this game today, they'll look back at that third quarter when they had multiple opportunities to tie or take the lead. And then they'll look back at that last drive, just taking too much time off the clock. 2nd and 2 at the 33. The handoff goes to Odom running right. Odom is smashed in the backfield, lost a yard. Averaging now 5.9 yards a carry, which is impressive considering he had 2 yards on 2 carries in the first half. But this is the game right here on 3rd and 2.
I'd keep running it. You don't want to stop the clock. Even if you don't get the first down, force them to use a timeout.
Surprised Chicago did not run more clock on that last play, right?
Right.
They could have bled it a little bit more, down to 12 here. We'll see if they bleed it now.
I'm surprised they took the fullback out on this.
Yeah, heavy set now with Odom. And they're going to pass. And they go out to Odom, and Odom's in trouble. And Odom breaks a tackle to keep them in CC range. I thought he was going to lose yardage, and the Wildcats very lucky.
And he stopped the clock, too.
Well, that's true.
Not so good.
Yeah, that's not so good for Chicago. Chicago lucky that this didn't turn into a punt and a stoppage of the clock.
Right.
Now, CC on his last one from 51 yards away just barely got it over the crossbar. This is a little bit closer from 50. .316 left. Perfect snap. Good hold. And CC's kick is plenty good. Way better than the last one. And Chicago goes up 10. It's not done yet, thanks to the poor clock management, but the Wildcats up by 2 scores again.
Now the pressure's on the Chicago special teams. You gotta pin them deep here, make them earn every yard.
That was one of the best kicks of his career. That would have been good from 56. Chicago just 8 yards in 4 plays, but that onside kick ends up putting St. Louis down 10. The Gladiators have got to come out aggressive, stay in the no huddle, and avoid going conservative here. They are out of time. Earl on the return up to the 24 with 3:08 to play. I'd like to see him out of that. They've shown a couple of different shotgun looks here in the fourth quarter. I'd like to see him out of that.
Yeah, definitely. When they're in the gun, it's looks like they've been running the gun straight a little bit. That they've been successful in that.
Coming up next, top of the hour, Mexico City and Queen City, about 18 minutes away from Buffalo. If you've loved what you've seen today, you won't want to miss that dynamic matchup. Pickler going to start with a deep pass, and it is caught by Harrelson. 20, 15, 10, inside. Not a touchdown. Down to the 1 with 2:51.
Unbelievable. Mickey McGuire. Wow. Look at that. Perfect game-saving tackle. Oh, my gosh. That was the tackle of the game.
How did Harrelson stay in bounds on the catch? And he actually was ruled to be out of bounds, so the clock stopped.
Oh, my gosh.
Remember, St. Louis only the 2 timeouts because they lost the challenge. And an offside free play. Pickler, touchdown again! Sean Harrelson, you, sir, are ridiculous.
Rookie of the year just completed that touchdown pass. Unbelievable.
Number 71, defense.
He's putting passes where they should not be caught.
That's just silly. I mean, and what presence. He saw that he had the advantage there on the penalty and just rolled the dice, threw it in the end zone. crazy play.
Harrelson
Crazy series.
is having one of the most amazing playoff performances I've ever seen. 245 yards, 9 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. And how about this, Charles? We have seen today 7 scoring drives in 4 plays or less. And the extra point for St. Louis is good. The first time these two teams met, it was a 36-30 overtime victory for St. Louis. Chicago up 34-31. St. Louis only has 2 timeouts, and are they going to onside kick again to shorten the field? It looks like it.
Yep. Yeah, you can question whether or not they just want to let their defense pin them deep. But
well, this time I think it's smart because you got to shorten the field here in a shortened game. This onside kick is fielded cleanly, but again, they're able to pin Chicago back out of field goal range. And did you see Iba flip the ball, and it hit defensive lineman? No, that's outside linebacker Kilroy Kalua right in the back.
Let's see if they decide to pass it all here. And E.T. King seems to have been a little cooled off a little bit in this second half.
2 backs in the backfield. Nickel look for St. Louis. They're going to hand it off to Odom. And Ash Odom is stopped after a 2-yard gain, and the clock will wind. I'm surprised that Chicago, Charles, did not challenge. You're up 10 with 3 minutes to go. I'm surprised they did not challenge the fact that Harrelson was out of bounds. Because it didn't look to me like he ever got out of bounds. At least, I mean, even if a foot did, he looked to be tackled in bounds to me. That was a curious call there by the officials. 2nd down and 8. Odom in the backfield. King bleeding the clock. Might be the final play before the 2-minute warning. They're going to pass, and Odom stays in bounds. He breaks a tackle and gets out of bounds with 2:10 to go.
No. That's the danger of that swing pass. It's hard for the running back to stay in bounds.
Now, it's another very difficult field goal from here, but because he went out of bounds, the game can't end with a 1st down, and King's going shotgun as Chicago appears to be going for the jugular. 8 in the box, single high safety. King going deep. It's caught for a touchdown! Please drink responsibly or get hammered. Chicago doesn't care.
Hammer don't hurt him. Oh my gosh. That was a gutsy play, Cam. It went for the touchdown pass here, the home run ball. Had a couple receivers open short, but E.T. King just wound it up and threw it deep. Unbelievable. I'm losing air here.
Wow. 2:05 left, and St. Louis again was so close.
Definitely.
And just have not been able to pull ahead. It's unbelievable. I cannot remember a game like this.
Was that on 3rd down?
It was on 3rd down. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So Chicago, for the first time today, converts a 3rd down, and it goes for a touchdown.
What a wild game, Cam. This is like the perfect game to start the playoffs.
Wow. Woo! Chase Earl, what you got for us?
Definitely.
On the return past the 20 to the 25, and let's see what Sean Harrelson has left.
Yeah.
Still 2 timeouts and 2:02 to go.
Let's see what Magic Pickler has, what he can do.
Well, St. Louis's heavy game has really let them down defensively.
Yeah.
Here we go, Johnny Pickler, the rookie, playing sensational yet trailing. 26 of 36 for 368 in his postseason debut. It's overthrown and intercepted. Picked off by Maurice Spurgeon, and we'll be right back. St. Louis now squarely on the ropes. You're watching the Simulation Football League playoffs on 11 Sports and for the fans. First and 10 at the 35-yard line. St. Louis squaring elimination in the face in their playoff debut in franchise history. King going long. It's caught. How about that? Send him home with style. And J.C. Torres makes the play.
Oh my God. That's gutsy. I mean, you got to take time off the clock, and they just unwind and throw it deep.
It just goes to show you, Charles, just how good they feel about their passing game.
Yeah.
I mean, E.T. King, 24 for 34, 340, 5 touchdowns today. The last 4 weeks, I mean, he has been unconscionable. It's unbelievable. Yep. First and 10 at the 18-yard line. The handoff goes to Odom up the middle to the 4-yard line, and Chicago can just take knees.
What a game. What a game.
What a game is
right there.
And thank goodness, because I don't think we would have been able to take any more.
Yeah.
What a wild
my voice.
What a wild ball game. Coming up next, Mexico City hosts Queen City in the 7-10 matchup as Wild Card Weekend continues. Coverage starts at 3 Eastern or 5 minutes after the conclusion of this ball game. But with knees being taken, that looks to be on time.
Wow.
Victory formation, the clock will run. And, wow. What a game. Chicago going to advance. It's their first postseason victory since October 9th, 2017, when the Wildcats took out the Atlanta Swarm to advance to the Season 9 championship game. And who knows, they could be playing Atlanta in the quarterfinals on Wednesday.
They're on fire, Cam. They're the team to beat, I think, are the scariest team. They've been averaging over 40 points a game in their last 3.
So another kneel down coming here for St. Louis. Their season will come to an end, but what a run, Charles. I mean,
Definitely.
This has been, It is so great to see. I mean, this league is so competitive. And when you see a franchise that's been down for years have a season like this, it's hard to look at this game as a negative.
No, I mean, you have to tip your cap to St. Louis. I mean, I'm sure they're stung a little bit today losing this game, but hey, they had a great season, great coaching, ownership. They've got a star rookie quarterback to look forward to next season. The sky's the limit for them, and things are looking up.
3rd and goal at the 7. The final kneel down will be taken. Chicago will face either Atlanta or Baltimore Wednesday night at either 7:30 or 9:30 Eastern. It all depends on what happens next from Buffalo, where Queen City hosts Mexico City. If Mexico City wins, then Chicago will go to Baltimore. If Queen City wins, then Chicago will face the number 1 seed, Atlanta Swarm. A big rivalry game potentially there. That's the ball game, and we get a chance to wrap this one up in a pretty bow. It's just a stellar football game, Charles, to start the playoffs.
Yeah, and you have to acknowledge Shan Varner, the coach of and owner of Chicago. I mean, he had some personnel changes late in the season. They are playing like stars. Last 4 games, they've been playing lights out, and he's made Chicago one of the, if not the most dangerous team in the playoffs.
Sean Harrelson in a loss, that was heroic. I mean, he was electrifying all day long down the field. I mean, passes he should not have caught, receptions that should have been, should have dragged him out of bounds. He did everything. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, so the question here is, who do you give the
Say again, Charles?
Who do you give the MVP to?
I think it's got to go to King, right?
Yep.
I mean,
5 touchdowns.
Varner had 3, but King was dynamic all day long. He drove the bus.
Yep. Somewhere Mike Daggs, the tight end, is shaking his fist.
Well, he's probably mad that Varner upstaged him. I'm not sure Mike Daggs is going to be able to get 3 touchdowns here in the next game, but he'll give it his best shot. So 5 minutes from now, or 5 minutes from the conclusion of this broadcast, Mexico City will take on Queen City. On that call, Michael Turillo, Robert Garrett Jr. We're excited for their playoff call from New York. Final thoughts, Charles, as we wrap this one up. What a wild second half.
Yeah, wild second half. St. Louis, they did their best, but at the end of the day, Chicago and that high-powered offense is just too much to keep pace with.
The defensive lines don't do much today. It was all about the quarterbacks. King, 332 yards. Pickler, 375 yards. That right there, one of the greatest plays that you'll ever see. And then McGuire, even better, chased him down. And there he did step out of bounds. Harrelson got a foot out. So that was, in fact, a good call by the officials. The very aggressive and potent Chicago Wildcats, led by E.T. King, who now has had 3 consecutive games with 5 touchdown passes, will enter into the quarterfinals as one of the hottest teams in the SFL, as you see Maurice Spurgeon with that game-sealing interception. Your player of the game here to start the SFL playoffs will be shown after this play. J.C. Torres, a little bit quiet today, but certainly a valuable weapon on the outside, and it was pick your poison today.
Definitely.
In the Chicago pass game. Player of the game, E.T. King, 22 of 32, 332 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a QBR of 129.2. For Stephen Hacker, Charles Doherty, I'm Cameron Irvine. This has been a presentation of the Simulation Football League on 11 Sports and for the fans. And we'll see you from Buffalo in moments.